There's a deadly boundary line, and anyone who crosses it immediately drops unconscious. At this moment, a man accidentally drove his car over the line and blacked out within seconds. The cops soon arrived at the scene. They sent out an officer wearing a gas mask with a safety rope tied around his waist. In case something went wrong, the others could still pull him back. The officer cautiously inched forward, but before long, he too collapsed on the ground. Seeing this, the crowd quickly yanked the officer back. As soon as he crossed back over to the other side of the line, the officer instantly regained consciousness. This whole thing was just too bizarre. What on earth was going on? Turns out, just 2 hours earlier, the small town had been throwing a huge bash. All of a sudden, an eerie noise rang out, and everyone passed out in a flash, even the animals. While the police were looking for help, they suddenly witnessed a freaky sight. The sheep lying on the ground actually started moving. Right after, the villagers also began waking up one by one, with no signs of anything wrong with their bodies. The police searched the entire town top to bottom, but came up empty-handed. Life gradually got back to normal, but then the weirdness struck again. Overnight, every single woman in town somehow got pregnant, with the date of conception happening to be the same day as the mass blackout. The men were furious, while the women were super stressed about these out-of-the-blue pregnancies. They all agreed to get abortions, but that very night, all the pregnant ladies had the exact same crazy dream. In it, they were gently rubbing their bellies with blissful smiles on their faces. The next morning, they had all changed their minds and decided to keep the babies. When delivery day rolled around, the government sent a huge medical crew to help with the births. These mystery babies were born one after another, but the doctors were shocked to discover that their genes were completely identical, meaning they all had the same dad. This was beyond any rational explanation. As the kids grew up, the adults started noticing all sorts of peculiar things about them. These children all had white hair and crazy high IQs. At 1 year old, they could already spell their own names. In another scene, a little girl accidentally knocked over her bowl while eating and got a harsh scolding from her mom. Suddenly, the girl's eyes started glowing blue. Next thing you know, the mother looked like she was under a spell and actually reached out towards the searing hot pot.